Imagine opening your front door to a sheriff shoving an eviction notice in your face for the house your great-grandpa built with his bare hands. That's exactly what hit me like a freight train one crisp Texas morning. My coffee turning bitter in my grip as some self-appointed suburban overlord claimed my family's 200-acre legacy was nothing but a pesky, illegal holdout in her cookie-cutter kingdom. The world spun silent for a beat, just my pulse hammering like a judge's gavel, while her chemical perfume clashed with the earthy scent of my cattle truck, proof that in America's so-called peaceful neighborhoods, the real wolves wear designer heels and wield clipboards like weapons. My name's Elias Thorne, 62, a former civil engineer who'd traded blueprints for barn repairs after retiring to this quiet slice of hill country heaven. Thought I'd spend my golden years tending the land my ancestors claimed in 1925, watching sunsets from the porch where my late wife, Clara, and I had danced under string lights just 3 years back. But nope, life had other plans. Courtesy of Victoria Langford, the HOA president of Evergreen Estates, a sprawling development of McMansions that had crept up like kudzu vines over the last decade, swallowing up the rural edges with their manicured lawns and absurd rules. Victoria, with her bleach-blonde bob and perpetual concerned citizen smile, showed up unannounced that day, heels stabbing my weathered deck like ice picks. "Mr. Thorne," she cooed in that saccharine tone that screamed boardroom battle-hardened, "we've got a little issue with your property lines. According to our covenants, this ranch is part of the original plat, and you're in arrears on dues dating back to the 70s. I blinked, staring at the glossy packet she thrust forward, her nails painted an aggressive red, tapping impatiently. Arrears? On land my family homesteaded before her subdivision was a twinkle in some developer's eye? "Ma'am," I said, keeping my voice level despite the fire in my gut. "This dirt's been Thorne's since before disco was a thing. Your community popped up like a bad rash 40 years later." She tilted her head, that smile never reaching her eyes. "Oh, honey, history's cute, but rules are rules. The reversion clause is crystal clear. Non-compliant parcels revert to the association for the greater good. Think of the children, Elias. We can't have rogue elements disrupting our aesthetic harmony." Aesthetic harmony? My cows lowed in the distance, as if mocking the absurdity. But I bit my tongue, nodding politely as she sauntered back to her gleaming Lexus, leaving me with a stack of legalese that smelled faintly of her overpriced lotion. Rumors started swirling almost immediately, whispers in the local diner that I was some reclusive hoarder, dodging fees to fund my unsightly farm. Folks I'd waved to for years now averted their eyes, thanks to Victoria's masterful spin on the neighborhood app, concerned about safety. Let's keep Evergreen pristine. Days blurred into a haze of denial and digging. I pored over old deeds in my cluttered study, the one Clara had turned into a scrapbook haven before cancer stole her away 2 years prior. The ranch wasn't just acreage. It was our story etched in every fence post, every gnarled oak where we'd picnicked with dreams of grandkids. But Victoria's paperwork cited some ancient master deed from 1972, claiming my grandpa had subdivided illegally, making my home fair game for HOA takeover. Bull. I'd engineered bridges that withstood hurricanes. I knew shoddy foundations when I saw them. So I called up my old buddy, attorney Harlan Reed, a grizzled vet who operated out of a strip mall office reeking of microwaved burritos. "Elias, this reeks," Harlan muttered over lukewarm coffee, jabbing at the document number E1972849. Fonts too modern, papers too crisp for a 50-year-old file. Let's hit the county archives. We descended into the courthouse basement, A dim crypt of forgotten history, where clerk Mabel Jenkins, pushing 80 and sharper than a tack, chuckled when we mentioned the number. Sweetie, that's in the phantom slot. System glitch in 72 skipped a batch. No such filing ever existed. It's HOA folklore around here. Hope flickered like a faulty bulb. But while we dusted off truths, Victoria ramped up her crusade. She leaked to the local rag, posing dramatically by my gate with a tape measure, decrying my eyesore operation as a threat to property values. We must protect our families from outdated nuisances, she intoned to the camera, her voice dripping faux concern while eyeing my barn like it was a biohazard. Neighbors nodded along, blinded by her charisma or fear of her infamous fines for non-conforming mulch. The real gut punch landed a week later. An emergency injunction, sheriff in tow, barring me from half my land, the eastern 100 acres housing my well, toolshed, and prime grazing. Sorry, Elias, Deputy Ramirez mumbled, avoiding my gaze as he padlocked the gate. Victoria's lawyer, a slick weasel in a suit worth my monthly mortgage, handed over the order with a condescending nod. Community standards, you understand. My cattle bawled pitifully, noses pressed to the fence, thirsty and trapped. I shelled out $150 daily to neighbor Gus Ramirez for emergency pasture, each bill a knife twist. But engineers don't rage, we analyze. Victoria's overkill screamed cover-up. I hired forensic expert Dr. Lena Croft, a no-nonsense prof from Dallas who arrived with gadgets that made my kitchen look like a CSI set. Under UV light, she whistled low. Arrogant hack job. These boundary cords? Straight from Google Earth, tech not around till the 2000s. And the surveyor's SIG? Copied and pasted. Pressure's uniform. No human variance. Forgery. Plain as day. Yet Victoria doubled down, filing a psych eval motion claiming my grief-induced delusions made me unfit, painting me as the unhinged widower ranting about ghosts and deeds. Whispers turned to outright shuns. At the hardware store, old pals crossed aisles, murmuring about my instability. Then the felony bomb. Stalking charges, backed by grainy footage of my truck near the community park. Predatory escalation, her press release bleated. Me? A predator? The man who'd coached Little League for decades? It was laughable if it weren't terrifying. But isolation breeds resolve. I reached out quietly to fellow holdouts, ranchers like Hank Dorsey and Kel Weaver, salt-of-the-earth types with stories that mirrored mine. Over beers at Gus's barn, the puzzle snapped together. Hank had been lowballed $40,000 for his fringe lot, sued into oblivion when he balked. Cal caught midnight surveyors swapping markers on tape. She's a shark in pearls, Hank growled. Using the HOA like a personal ATM. Why the frenzy? Enter my niece, FBI agent Sophia Reyes, who crunched numbers at a roadside diner under flickering fluorescence. Uncle Eli, this ain't petty. Victoria's HOA is a shell. No state registry. Funds funneled to Bahamas accounts. She skimmed $750 monthly from 280 homes for 10 years. $2.5 million vanishing act. That luxury clubhouse? A weed-choked lot. Security? Her nephew in a rented van. My ranch was the linchpin. Annexing it lent her scam historical cred, turning a fraud into a legacy estate. Desperation bred stupidity. She bribed Harlan to botch filings, $40,000 offer. Rejected with a laugh. Even leaned on Mabel to correct records. But small-town loyalty held. Tips flooded my way instead. She's unraveling, Sophia whispered in her sterile office, wiretaps revealing Victoria coaching cronies to lie, fabricating threats to drag in feds. I unearthed Clara's old property logs, dated photos, notes on every stake, a widow's testament trumping forgeries. The annual HOA gala loomed, Victoria's stage for triumph. Annex my land, hike fees, squash dissent. She swept in at 7 p.m. sharp, power blazer impeccable, beaming at the 280 anxious families crammed into the bland hall, fluorescent hum underscoring the tension. Fellow residents, she purred into the mic, for our safety and prosperity, I motion to integrate the Thorn anomaly, restoring order. The crowd murmured approval, conditioned by years of her velvet-gloved tyranny. I rose from the shadows, boots thudding on linoleum. Objection, Victoria. Before evicting me, let's chat about your 72 Phantom file, or why your maps scream 21st century Photoshop. Her facade cracked, lips pursing into a thin line. You have no voice here, Mr. Thorn. Security. But I clicked Sophia's remote. The screen bloomed not with her pie charts, but FBI diagrams tracing $2.5 million to tropical hideaways. Gasps rippled like dominoes. What the? A dad in khakis stammered. Chaos erupted, chairs scraping, shouts of thief as realizations dawned. Phantom pools, ghost patrols, all funding her lavish life. Treasurer Edna Hale, Victoria's lapdog, trembled beside me, clutching real books. She threatened my grandkids' college fund if I didn't cook the numbers, Edna wailed, voice booming over the din. Doors banged open. Sophia and Marshall stormed in, badges flashing. Victoria bolted stage left, heels clacking comically, but deputies blocked her. Cuff snapped, click amplified like sweet revenge. Victoria Langford, you're under arrest for embezzlement, forgery, extortion, Sophia boomed. As she passed, venom spitting, you've ruined us. Thorn, I leaned in, calm as steel. Nah, Vicky. You built your throne on quicksand. It was bound to suck you under. The fallout? A tear-soaked vote installed me as interim prez. Ironic, but I couldn't abandon the fleeced families. We torched the sham docs, audited everything, refunded what we could, $5,800 checks eliciting sobs of relief. Victoria pled down to 22 years. Assets liquidated, Lexus, mansion, bling to partial restitution. I funneled my cut into the Clara Thorn Legacy Shield, aiding HOA victims statewide. Annual barbecues under my oaks celebrate truth, cattle roaming free, Clara's spirit in every laugh. But nights staring at stars, I ponder. She nearly succeeded, her polished lies outgunning facts. How many more lose homes to such charlatans without allies? So, tell me, are HOAs guardians of order, or just polished Ponzi schemes waiting to implode? Right or wrong, could a community protector like Victoria ever justify bending rules for the greater good? Or is that the ultimate hypocrisy? Drop your takes below. Let's debate if these modern overlords deserve power over your dirt.